What goes up must come down. And if you look at the last 100 years, the stock market has averaged just about a 7% annual return. But the problem is this. Most people don't understand how the basic math works. And so I'm gonna give you a little riddle. If you have a stock that's worth $100 and it falls 10% and then gains 10%, what is the value of that stock now? Go ahead and comment the answer down below if you do know it, and we will talk about why this is important a little bit later on. And if you are an avid stock market investor like myself, you probably know that in 2019, the stock market gained over 30%, and in 2020, it was an absolute whirlwind roller coaster, gaining and losing 30% in a matter of months due to the pandemic. And unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen what has been happening with Tesla absolutely going to the moon recently, as well as many other meme stocks like GameStop, Palantir, Peloton, AMD, and more. And if you're like most people like myself and many of the people on Wall Street bets, you're probably starting to think at this point that stonks only go up. But as we saw in March of 2020, what can literally take years to actually appreciate on the stock market can disappear in a matter of days. Watching the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ literally trigger the circuit breakers and stop the entire market because the market dropped by as much as 10%. Now, if you're like me, you probably didn't even know that that existed before it happened, but it's actually to prevent panic selling and actually stop the stock market from crashing like it did in the Great Depression. And then if you are an avid Reddit user like myself and you do go on Wall Street bets, which I definitely recommend to anybody who wants a good laugh, you've probably seen a couple guys like this who bought a $500 Tesla stock option that actually ultimately turned into $1 million, which is over a 200,000% return. And if that doesn't give you FOMO, I really don't know what will. But regardless of how much money that you've made or lost on the stock market, I promise you the biggest winner of the past year has undeniably been Elon Musk. Elon Musk has gained over $100 billion of his net worth in just the past year alone to actually be announced the world's richest man. And when he was actually announced as the world's richest man, he tweeted on Twitter, "That's weird, well, back to work," which obviously shows that money is not the most important thing to him and that his actual purpose on this earth is. But something that's important to understand is the stock market is not the economy and the economy is not the stock market, because the economy of late has actually been beaten and battered and bruised by the pandemic, with many local businesses like restaurants, barbers, and all sorts of things actually having to close due to the pandemic and regulations from the federal and state governments. And so you might be asking, but Kevin, how can the stock market be at all-time highs if the entire economy for the most part is actually shut down? Well, we will get to that in a second. Because when you consider the fact that the stock market is at all-time highs and similarly unemployment is at all-time highs, you start to wonder if what goes up must come down is starting to become more and more actually true. And with the ambiguity of our president actually changing, the uncertainty around the stimulus bill, the economy, whether things are going to stay open or close down, what's happening with the mandatory mask mandate, unemployment, and the job market, what I can tell you is that Wall Street and the stock market do not like uncertainty. And they also don't like news. And let me explain what I mean. There's a famous saying that goes, buy the rumor, sell the news. And what that means to me is once things actually settle down and vaccines are distributed, the president actually has a chance to settle into his new office, the stimulus bill has actually been announced and distributed, I can promise you that Wall Street will be on the lookout for any type of thing that is going to inevitably crash the market once we reach a point where everything has started to settle down, meaning that there's no more rumors and instead we have news. And the truth is, I don't know what's gonna happen in the stock market, and neither does you, and neither does anyone else. This year we saw even the untouchable Warren Buffett get emotional and sell huge stakes in some of the airlines right before they were actually bailed out by the federal government. But what I do know historically is that time in the market is better than timing the market, which means that the longer you actually stay in the market, if you actually look on a 5 to 10 year basis, you are historically always going to be in a better position than when you actually started, assuming you buy low cost index funds and don't YOLO it all on GameStop. And while I'm not going to give you advice on what you should actually do with your own portfolio, what I will tell you is what I am going to do with mine. And before I do that, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you do two quick things tap that little like button so that your stocks will go up, and also make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bells so that we can all YOLO together. And so what I am doing at the end of January 2021 with my stock portfolio is I am going to exit entirely into cash. Now, the reason that I'm gonna do that is because there has been a massive, unimaginable amount of new money printed. Businesses have been shut down for the first time in my entire life, and nobody knows what's going to happen when all of that new money and all of these extended shutdowns and pandemic relief and all of these stimulus things actually have time to play themselves entirely out. And when you combine that with the fact that stocks are higher than they've ever been, even during a pandemic when most of our economy is shut down and there's more new money printed than ever before, what that says to me is I think it's very likely that in the next 6 months or so, we're going to see a 10 to 30% correction. And that is when I am going to redistribute my cash actually into the stock market itself. Now, specifically what I'm gonna do is I like to dollar cost average into stocks that I believe in. Now, most of the traditional stock experts say that you should have a diversified portfolio, but I also know some people that only buy and sell Apple stock and make millions of dollars every single year. And so instead of trying to learn everything about the entire stock market, what I do is I invest in companies that I cannot imagine my life without. And some of those include Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, Apple, and Google. Now, these are the products that I strongly believe in, that I cannot imagine a competitor actually coming in and making a significant effort to try to create a competitive business against these companies, which are ultimately monopolies and have billions and billions of dollars in the bank for research and development, and are led by visionary leaders who have incredible businesses behind them that they've proved over decades to actually be incredible companies. And so my specific plan is ultimately to dollar cost average into those 5 companies that I believe are going to be around for a very long time to come. And when I do that, is not on a time schedule like month to month. Instead, what I do is I actually set alerts and reminders looking for when the overall market or those particular stocks drop by a certain percentage, and then I'll put in some allocation of money. You know, it can be $100, it can be 100,000, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that you consistently do that when the stock market has down days, and then over the long term, over a 1 to 3 to 5 to even 10-year basis, you are very, very likely historically to be significantly better than where you started off. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe, turn on the bells, comment down below stock market 2021. And if we get 500 comments that say stock market 2021, I'll release a video in the very near future where I actually show my exact portfolio and a lot of my investing strategies, and show you guys literally how I've been able to actually generate really amazing returns leveraging these exact strategies in my stock market portfolio. And if you didn't already know, we actually have 2 additional YouTube channels, which are linked down below in the description. The Kevin David Experience, our top 25 podcast, and also More Kevin David, where we launch a bunch of fun, different style videos as well. Or if you wanna hang out on this channel, we have a brand new playlist coming to you live in 3, 2, 1. Click the playlist in the middle of the screen, guys. See you there. Click it. Come on, click it. Do it. Click the playlist. Okay, you don't have to, but I promise you'll like it. Click the playlist. See you soon. Peace.